Hello, welcome to the ESS BizTools Business Planning webinar for our subscribers members. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BizTools. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to talk about business planning. And I'm going to outline to you the philosophy that I had as I developed the ESS BizTools material on business planning. I've lost count of the number of business plans that I've prepared over the years. Biggest one I ever did was for the public company that I was the Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary of. You know, at the time, it was the first business plan that had been prepared as a business plan in the 52-year history of that public company at that stage. That was quite a few years ago now, but it just highlights that business planning probably was not given the prominence that it now is, but it is a crucial document that should be a unique document to an individual business, to your client. It's a document that can encourage input from a wide range of people, as we're going to cover as we go through this presentation to you today. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching this webinar at a later time more suitable for you and you have any questions, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And if you're viewing this webinar live and you have a question, please type your question in the chat and I will answer your questions later in the webinar. So we're going to explore the key documents within the ESS BizTools Business Planning Product Package to give you an overview of the construction, how we went about putting all this together to assist you to deliver a unique experience for your client. And the word unique is very important. This business plan's got to be like buying a new pair of gym boots, runner boots. You want them to fit your feet. If they hurt your toes or your heels or wherever, they're not suitable for you. Well, it's the same with a business plan. That's why you should never copy it off someone else's. It's a unique set of documents. And that's the process that I'm going to outline to you now. It should not be prepared in isolation either. I get horrified at times when I've spoken to consultants and some accountants who have said, oh, we're going to prepare a business plan. I'll have finished in about an hour and I'll just send it through to the client. And, they can sign it and we'll send it on to the bank or someone. That's not the proper way to prepare a business plan. You need to have the input of the leadership team at the very least. I prefer also the input of the overall team. But you need to have the leadership team having clear ownership of the final document, because they're the people who have got to implement it. And it should not be a copy of another document. It should be developed by consultation with the leadership team, the team members, but with input from other key people, customers, suppliers, shareholders, board of advice members, board of directors members, obviously, if your client's got both of those. But hopefully they've got at least a board of advice. And there are others. We'll look at some of those as we go through. In the webinar, we will comment on these key components of the overall package to enable you to gain the input from your client's team and others who are dealing with your client, so that the end result is a business plan crafted to suit the uniqueness of this client, who they are, what's their supply, where are they located, what particular difficulties do they have because of where they are located? Where are their supplies sourced from? Have they got difficulty in getting those, especially with unfortunate wars taking place in a couple of places around the world? What other issues have they got? Can they get enough staff? Is that one of their problems? So we begin with an overview of the business planning consultancy. This is a paper which we have written. It's called paper 570042. It's in your packages. And we're going to have a quick look at it because everything flows from it. It sets out our strategy for the development of a business plan. And it all starts with the SME needs analysis. This is a document which I developed from an original needs analysis that was prepared by the Financial Management Research Centre by Andrew Geddes at the University of New England. I've worked closely with Andrew over the years, and I said to him one night when we were sitting around having a quiet ale and looking at what we were wanting to do in ESS BIZTOOLS, I said, I want to change that needs analysis. And he said, go your hardest, do what you like. So we've prepared a couple of versions. Andrew gave us a new one also. But it gives you some suggested dot points to raise with your client concerning their thoughts on a range of issues affecting their business. And we describe it as BAS 017 in our system. You can download it. But you need to remember, a lot of your clients think that you are very good at preparing taxation returns and giving them advice on taxation, but they don't really appreciate that your accounting firm can help them in other areas. Why? Because for the last 50 years, accountants have concentrated on taxation. And that's what SMEs expect. In many cases, it's a begrudging payment. They know they need to lodge tax returns with the government, otherwise they get into trouble with the tax office. And they know they need some advice on that. But they also need advice on general business matters to run their affairs. When I was the chief financial officer of a listed public company, the tax return, well, it was something that was there in the background. Our auditors actually in those days did most of the tax return work. I did some of it, but I was more concerned with the daily performance figures, the daily yields, the reports going through to the leadership team on our profitability calculations for over 500 business units around Australia, including some 4 very major activities. That's what the leadership team are interested in. And the leadership team with SMEs is just as important as the leadership team at the big end of town. In fact, they've probably got more responsibility when you think about it, because they haven't got a whole range of in-house experts, whether it's finance, whether it's marketing, whether it's technology, or some of these other areas. So the SME needs analysis is a very important document. The delivery of virtual CFO services, I've mentioned it already, I think is a vital component for accountants to be able to deliver value-adding advisory services for your clients. And it's part of this package as BAS 018. I think you should read it and make sure you communicate the vision of the CFO services and to your clients. We have a business planning module control form, which I think is the nerve center of all this. And we're going to look at that, and that's BAS 1300. And how do you start a business planning assignment? Well, we summarize that in BAS 1304. Now, some of the work may be undertaken by another professional. I balk at preparing marketing projections for a client. When I do a business plan, I say to the client, well, this is what I'm going to do, but we need an expert in marketing, preferably someone that knows something about your industry, who's going to prepare the marketing report. But we have developed the concept of giving a briefing document to that external expert, in this case, marketing. So we've got a document, BAS 1308, that's designed for a briefing document to go to a marketing consultant to clearly tell them what they're required to do and what the end result's going to be used for. I think it's only professional courtesy to tell the marketing consultant that the documentation he or she are going to produce is going to be used to try to raise capital under the crowdsourced funding equity raising process. And our client wants to raise $5 million, which is the maximum that can be raised. And we want a market outline. So it's not like they're going out to prepare a document to go to the bank to support a $50,000 overdraft, they're going to go to the market to try to raise $5 million. I think the marketing consultant should have that very clearly in their mind. This is what this document's going to be used for. And we have briefing documents for a range of other professionals, which we'll show you when we get to that area. So you can just send that off, and obviously the client has to pay those people. The business plan preparation requires a lot of questions to be asked and answers recorded. The business plan questionnaires are there for a range of different businesses, and we can summarize those in BAS 1, 3, 4, 5. This is part of this drive to ensure we have uniqueness in the business plan for this particular client. To do that, you need to ask a lot of questions. I sit down with the leadership team. We have a program of meetings as part of the initial discussion with the CEO or the general manager or the owner or whoever runs this business. They're the ones that are accepting your quotation, your proposal. And part of that should be that we want to have a series of meetings. Now, most CEOs will balk at the idea of locking their leadership team away with you or me for 2 or 3 days straight. So it's better to, if you need that long, it's better to program it into 2 to 3 hour shifts, because most of these people will be that fidgety after 2 hours, they're probably not really contributing, because they're worried about what's going back at the office or what's going on out in the field or whatever their direct responsibilities are. Or their phone started to jingle in their pocket. People wanting to communicate with them. So try to plan the consultations you want, but you really need to get their buy-in to this process. If you don't involve them, they will not give the business plan the respect. As I said a little bit earlier, at the end of this process, these are the people who have to implement it. Therefore, I think it's only common sense that they are involved in the framing of it. And if they had a pet idea or a pet subject, and in the debate that's occurred as part of the process, they lost out on it, or at least they know the reasons. They know that that pet idea that they had wouldn't work for such a reason, or it may have been deferred. Look, Jim, we'll consider that in 2 years' time. But we've got these real problem areas we've got to get through before that. At least that person knows what the plan is. These discussions with the leadership team, I call think tank meetings, because that's what they should be. Nothing should be done on seniority, and I always make sure the client realizes that. I say to the client, you might get a bit of a bashing in these meetings, because I'm going to tell people they can say anything and everything in these meetings, and that you'll assure me there will be no repercussions for any of those people, because we want honesty to come out. So if one of your younger leadership team members thinks that a particular project is an utter waste of money and is not achieving anything to help the company, I really want that person to talk up about that in the think tank meeting so it can be discussed. Now, he might be, or she might be wrong, of course, and that person's walking around with this idea in their head, so they will be corrected, won't they? But they might be right. I've seen situations where they were right. Top-level management either had never heard of that idea or had given it scant consideration. But when they get to a think tank meeting, and you should have communicated with the leadership team members, possibly not knowing a particular issue is going to be brought up, but encouraging them to turn up with their file. If they got a pet project that they don't think's getting runs on the board, turn up with their supporting documentation, maybe a video. I've had one guy turn up with a video and said, can I run a 5-minute video? This explains it far better than what I can do in a letter or anything else. So we need to engage the leadership team to get their ideas. So we're going to talk about a think tank meeting for manufacturers, and that's 1351-03. And then we get to the staff and team members. Now, I warn you, some of your clients might not want the staff involved. But I say to myself, well, you're employing them for 38 hours every week. You're enabling them to talk to customers, to talk to suppliers, to talk to banks, to pay checks, to raise invoices, to decide whether there should be a registration made on the Personal Property Securities Register. Surely they can have a say in the development of the business plan for the business. I'd suggest to you that you argue that to the client and suggest there be a 1 to 2 hour meeting with the team, and that you send them a briefing, or preferably have a 10-minute meeting with the team beforehand and give them an overview of the rules, but we're wanting them to be honest and vocal about issues, things that maybe customers are saying to them, things that some suppliers are saying to them, their observations. They've heard various things. Maybe Main Road's going to change the location, the road what the business is located on, and they've heard rumours that the boss is going to spend $1 million on the building. The boss may not have known of what the Main Roads Department's doing. The team member might not be right, of course. It might have just been bar rumours, but get some action on it. Either find it's a problem or kill it off as an issue. I think it's very important that the staff are invited to make their contribution, and they are assured there will be no intimidation. There will be no I'll get even with you type approach by the leadership team, because you need to have the staff to be honest. And a very important group that I find a lot of people never communicate with is customers. That's pretty strange when you think about it. But over the years, I've been hired to undertake this business planning process. And when we get to this document, as I'm working through it with the client and saying, okay, customers. And the client says, oh, I don't like talking to customers. Well, why not? They're the people who are paying for your fancy car and your fancy home and are paying the wages of those 20 people outside. No, I don't want to talk to them. So over the years, I have actually conducted a number of customer-client meetings for accounting firms, for major suppliers in rural industries, for a manufacturing business. They're just some of them that are coming to mind as I'm talking to you, because the client did not want to go. So I then made some rules and said, well, okay, if you're not going to be there at the start, you do not come in until I invite you in at the end. And I'm not going to say anything as to why you're not there. I'll just say, I've been engaged to run this service and this is how we're going to run it. And we have had breakfast meetings. They're quite successful, actually. I think we had 50 odd at one of them in a farming community. 50 people, the customers. And I either take notes myself or have my offsider there. And when we had the 50, I made sure she was there so we could record what was being said, because it's very important you report back to your clients. And then at the end of it, we brought the client in. He was told to sit outside. He didn't want to be involved in the first part of it, so came in when we were ready. And on that stage, we had it all on the whiteboard. These are the issues. Billy, this is what your customers are telling you. I think we need to encourage our clients to talk more openly with customers all of the time. And from that, you might then establish a customer advisory committee, which was the real success when you read the history of Walmart in America. The founder of Walmart had customer meetings every Saturday at 1 p.m. in one of his stores. He was always, his first store, he was always there at 1 p.m. And people would turn up with their ideas and suggestions. And he would write them down and say, okay, thank you very much. I will see what I can implement. or they'd bring back a product which wasn't quite what they thought it was going to be, and he'd organise a refund or to fix it up. In other words, he was listening to his customers and then fixing issues up. I wonder if some of our big public companies should have been doing that. When you think of some of the disasters in airlines, in hotels, even governments, of course, because they were not listening to the customers. So we've got a form which will help you, which is the customer survey form, BAS 1354. And obviously you can edit these forms if you wish to suit the uniqueness of your client. There are also other key stakeholders around a business. They could be the web designer, the social media coordinator, a lawyer, and there'll be others. People who are on the fringes, but hear a lot and see a lot. Ask them. Maybe they just complete the form. I think you should also pick up the phone, though, and talk to them. They mightn't want to come to a formal meeting, but they might give you some comments, what they're hearing at the club or at the football match about your client. And we got a form there to help you get that, 1355. It's a complete waste of time, in my opinion, starting this process unless we have an action plan at the end. We're going to produce a business plan document which might end up being a dozen, 20, 30 pages. But the key page is the action plan, I think. What are we going to do about all this? Who's going to do it? What are the issues? And when will that problem be solved or sorted out or fixed or whatever? When are we going to be able to? What I like doing is putting a line through the list. We've done that. We've done that. Because that's what all this is about. And that gives the skeptics their answer. There has been action out of this whole process, and there will be skeptics. Some of them will be in the leadership team. Others will definitely be in the team members, I think. And some could even be customers. Oh, they'll never fix that. One way you can really get the team going, the entire team, the leadership team, the general team, and the customers, is to let people feel that, well, their input into this process has borne fruit. There's been some action. They've changed their ways. They're listening. They've now got a customer advisory committee that meets every 2 months, 6 times a year. And it doesn't matter where the customers are, they can use Zoom. They don't all have to be brought into a central area. And they can spend a quarter of an hour, half an hour every 2 months discussing what they like about your client, but also discussing what your client's competitors are offering them. Because over the years, I found that a lot of customers do play with more than one key supplier to them. They do it deliberately. They want to see what the others have got. They might spend 85% of their allocated money they want to spend on this particular range of services that your client provides with your client, but they make sure they spend a bit with some of the others so they can get a feel for their services, a feel for their products, their pricing, their delivery processes, and all that. So I'm going to say the thank you for your support of ESS BIZTOOLS now, so that if you do have any suggestions on anything we're going to talk about in this webinar, please let me know so that we can explore all the activities in the business plan. So I'm just now going to go to our website. So we're going to we've now brought up the ESS BIZTOOLS website. And on the left-hand column here, as you know, we've got the main product components of ESS BIZTOOLS, and we're going to go into business planning. So we're on the business planning. You can watch a video. And we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to click on download content. So all the content we got in business planning is now being reflected on the screen. So these are the documents that are contained within the business planning product package. We have a procedure control form, which is the overview document. We links you to everything in the system. We have a whole range of these BAS forms, business advisory services forms, which I'm going to show you some of these. But I'm going down, first of all, our system always puts papers right at the very end. So within the papers, we've got guide to the preparation of a business plan, the business plan overview, business planning key points, the work codes that we suggest you can use. And then we have this paper, the business plan consultancy form. I'm going to click on that. And hopefully you should now be able to see that. So this is the business planning consultancy form. If you haven't read this, please read it. A whole range of information here. There's some letters to organisations that might have been funding the preparation of the business plan. Some of that you can skip over, of course. And I'm now just going to go through it. So a lot of this starts with a one-on-one meeting. In fact, we believe a whole range of issues in offering advisory services starts with a one-on-one meeting. You've had a meeting with a client, and that's where you might have used the SME needs analysis. That's that BAS 017. And you need to communicate with your client. What's a business plan like? Well, it's like a map for a tourist. If someone's going to go driving around Australia and driving from Sydney to Cairns, they probably need an idea of where they're going, where they might be able to stay. What are the key features along the way? They would enter into a plan. Well, a business plan is basically the same. Where do they want to end up? Who wants business plans? Well, the leadership team definitely should have a business plan. The board of directors, if there is one, will want a business plan. But banks are more and more likely to be asking for the business plan. And investors, if the entity wants to try to raise some capital or get some loan funds, business plans come to the fore. So what's included in the business plan? I think it starts with the business planning control module that I mentioned a little while ago. It's a very important document, and it can help you. How do you start a business planning process is something that you could look at. We believe you should create the files. So your filing system for a business plan is the same with each business plan you undertake in your office. There's some quotation forms. In the introduction, I talked about the briefing document. I think it's very important if there's expert work to be undertaken that you submit those people a briefing document. And we'll look at some of those in a moment. So we've got briefing documents for the market research, the export market report, especially if the client's been involved in export market development grant applications, intellectual property, the management team, the working prototype, proving technology, legal advisors, the business plan if you've had a previous business plan, an information memorandum if your client's getting ready to raise money. So there's various other briefing documents that you're part of the process, but other people are doing specific jobs. Assignment control form, and so on. So please read this document because it gives you the overview. It's written for you. It's not a document. That's why it's in the 570 series. It's not a document we suggest you hand to your client. It's your document to guide you through the preparation of a business plan. Okay, I've got rid of all that, I think. Okay, so I'm now going to select some of these forms so that we can review them. So the first one is the SME needs analysis. Which is a document that's been designed that you could utilize to have a discussion with your client. These are these dot point type idea, whereby you can ask your client, how's the business going? Are you happy with current performance? What are your key business concerns? Is it profit? Is it cash flow? What about the departmental results? So please review that document. It is a very important document if you are offering advisory services to your clients, which I hope all of your team are familiar with and are involved with and are looking for opportunities to talk to clients about advisory services that you can provide. The next one that I want to just show you is the Chief Financial Officer Services Guide. This is giving you an introduction that you could start talking about to your clients about why you would be offering them a virtual CFO service. So it's going through how you would go about the process, talking about predictive accounting reports, budgets for all business operations. What are the key drivers? Accounts. You know, what's this client got? Raw materials inventory, completed stock inventory, debtors, creditors. Maybe they got different category classifications on creditors. They got prompt payment creditors, got to be paid within 7 days. And they got others that they hopefully can get 30, maybe to 40 days. But the 7-day ones are very important. They don't pay them, they don't get supply. The cash flow forecast, the 52-week business enhancement system. What needs to be done? Are they is there a proper system for the daily business report? Is the weekly performance profitability reports being prepared? You're getting feedback out of all this to determine whether specific mention needs to be made on some of these issues within the final business plan. I just want to show you the business planning module control form. This is a document that takes you through where the supporting documents are within our system. So pre-quotation discussion with clients. How do you start a business planning assignment? Well, you go to BAS 1304. You just click on that and you'll go to it. Pre-discussions, briefing documents, those ones we talked about before for the market research, export market report, marketing plan, and so on. They're the documentation that you can, pardon me, contact them on. And there's various other forms there to help you on that process. And one of the documents I wanted to show you is the briefing document for a marketing plan. It's just a document you're going to send to a consultant. So you've talked to the client, you've determined who you're going to send it to. You get all the details, and you say to them, well, primary items to be included in the marketing report include that the marketing plan has been prepared as a complementary document to the such and such. We want to have 12 months detailed activity on the generation of sales. What are the milestones? They're summarised in Addendum A. Is it going to be incorporated within a business plan or an information memorandum? What date do you want the draft report prepared? What's the completion date, the final document? Spells out the deal. If they're going to use any subcontractors, your client probably wants to know the details, so get their details. So then we've got the milestones. What are they? Put them in there. And then Addendum B. Define what's involved. You can obviously use this. You can edit it to suit a particular requirement, but it gives you a document which the person preparing the marketing document has a clear understanding as to what their brief is. So they don't go off and write about something that has got no correlation with what the thrust of the business plan is. So it all dovetails in. And it's all it's a vision document with it. I hope that helps you in that understanding of that process. The business planning questionnaire is a document where we've gone through, and across the top here we've got all, and then food, retail, manufacturing, trades, professionals, other retail, hotels, tourism, various industries. And we've gone through the key documents which we've prepared relating to business plans. These are all in section 021. As you can see, review of business financial. And we've ticked in which area we think these documents apply to. You'll notice that a lot of them are in everything, of course, but it just gives you an idea that you can handle a lot of individual businesses where we've gone through and determined what the key documents that you should have would be. The next one that I want to look at is an agenda for an advisory meeting. So this is the think tank meeting. These are the key issues. You've got documentation for each of these items that I just showed you there with those 021 series. You can have those documents there, but it's making sure that every area is covered, and you can determine specific points of interest or questions from reading the appropriate paper out of 0 to 1. And I now want to go to the action plan. The action plan at this stage has got nothing in it, but it's going to have an action number, the item, what's the reference back into the business plan, who's to do it, and by when. It's as simple as that. I think the most important page in the final business plan document is this plan, the actual plan. So that's an overview of the ESS BizTools business planning process. I hope that gives you a better appreciation of what's incorporated within the system. If you've got any questions or comments, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Thank you for attending this webinar or watching it at a later time, and I hope that helps you have a better all-round understanding of the key advisory services material that we have included within ESS BizTools. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.